Before we get started tonight, ladies and gentlemen, on another episode of Fast Break on IE Sports Radio, I want to talk to you about one of our legacy finance. Last year was a tough year. However, staying positive, keeping your faith, and continuing to work hard is the goal. If you're in a financial struggle at the moment and you need some help, or if you're doing well and want to get to the next level, either way, give them a call. Also, if you're looking for a new opportunity to work for yourself and earn more money part-time, give them a call also. Call AO at 510-928-2104 to book your appointment today. Andrew and AO are just two people on a mission to help families build a legacy. You can find them on social media at Twitter at legacy_uncut and on Instagram at Sims_uncut. Now on to the show. Good evening, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Fast Break here on lovely Sunday, March 21st. Is it really an upset if it's so much parity in college basketball right now? We'll discuss that and much more here on Fast Break, live on iSportsRadio.com. Your direct feed for that is all in sports. You're welcome to join us. And join us as you shall tonight, ladies and gentlemen. A lot to discuss tonight with the NCAA currently going on right now. Lower seeds beating the higher seeds. You know, some people acting surprised and stuff like that. Others like me, you know, I don't get that. We don't get a surprise anymore. But joining us back with us tonight, my co-host, Dentarius Davidson. How you doing tonight, sir?
Much better this weekend, man. Everything is pretty solid. We got a lot of college basketball going on. I'll call them a couple upsets. I'll tell you right now, my bracket is screwed. So hopefully the team that I have win, or my Final Four is still there. But once I seen Ohio State go down, that just broke everything.
Yeah, watching those first set of games on Friday, it's like you really saw no separation from teams. You really haven't seen that separation from teams in quite some time. But let me go and ask you this, D-Lock. Who were some of your, I know weekend's still going on right now, but who were some of your winners and losers this weekend?
Well, this may sound kind of biased, but one of my winners is Florida. I say that because they're playing right now. They're up by 2, playing against Oral Roberts. I think the fact that Ohio State did take that L to Oral Roberts was in fact a big thing for them. As much as that's my team, I've told you and I've said it, told people here before that, I'm a realist when it comes to teams. I'm not going to just be biased and say we'll go all the way to the championship. I know that's not possible. I thought that they would lose to Ohio State. I thought that Ohio State was going to be one of those teams that was going to make a big push to the Final Four. So, with the fact that Ohio State did lose, that's one thing that Florida needs to take advantage of. They did squeak out that game against Virginia Tech, but they have a chance to get farther than expected. So that's one of my winners. Another winner is Oklahoma State. I mean, we've seen them play very well for so long. They got the stars we know, but this is a team that can make a lot of noise in this tournament. I really expect for them to go far. Got a couple guys that can. I don't have to really say their names, and you probably will speak on, but a couple guys that can make a big difference in the playoffs and also, not playoffs, but the tournament, and then for the NBA draft. You got a couple guys that obviously this is where a lot of athletes make their money, and rise their stock. So Oklahoma State has played very well. I'll name one more winner so far, and that's LSU. They have a big matchup coming up. They did beat, was it St. Bonaventure, if I said that correctly? They have a good history. They play very well. They actually played Bama very tight those last couple of games that they matched up. So we know what Alabama can do, and they played them very well. So I do like LSU, and I think that they can, they got Michigan coming up tomorrow, right?
Correct.
Yeah, so I do have Michigan beating them, but I think that they can make a lot of noise. I mean, they got, if they have any confidence problems, just look at how they play Alabama. So that's another winner. One of the major losers for me, and we'll probably touch on a little bit more, is VCU. I feel like, this whole COVID thing was, got a couple of people testing positive, within the past 48 hours. And the thing is, we know the protocols of what they have to do, stay in the bubble, make sure you're not around anybody. But, they could have caught these different, cough. They could have caught these symptoms a week before they got into the bubble.
Yes.
It's just that, what I'm saying? The fact is, it now occurring. And now they just had to be eliminated without even getting a chance to play. So that's literally like, we've seen a couple number ones go down, top 5 teams go down. But I feel like that's the biggest loss because you didn't get a chance to fight, and just get a chance to show, that you're worthy of being in the tournament. We've seen upsets all weekend already. So who's to say that they don't upset Oregon? And we've seen Oregon not necessarily play a lot of top 25 teams. So I think that's one of the teams that I consider as a big loss. It's sad, man, because, you trained so long, you've done so much, now you get a chance to, this is a one-and-done tournament, right? Let's just say Oregon beats them 9 out of 10 times. So maybe what if this is that 1 out of 10 times they beat Oregon and they don't get that shot? So for me, I just see that as one of the major losers. And obviously another one I definitely would say is Ohio State. I don't know how many people had Ohio State getting past Oral Roberts, but I'm pretty sure a lot of people brackets are kind of messed up because of that loss. So those are my 2 major losses. But that VCU thing is, is still stuck in my head right now.
Well, and before I get to my points, Taryn, shout out to Taryn Rodriguez in the chat. I know he's happy about the Pac-12, coming through, playing very well in the first 2 rounds, our first round here. He want to ask you, How are you feeling after? How are you feeling after Florida? Tough game with Virginia Tech.
Well, I was on pins and needles. For one, that could have been another upset, or start the weekend off with an upset. I wasn't expecting it to be that close. I know VTech has a couple guys there. The Trey Man pulled through big time. But after we got the win, it was like, okay, boom, we got the win, but now we're gonna go face Ohio State. Is the first thing I'm thinking. You know what I'm saying? So, even though you look at the fact that we did get the W, you're looking at the next opponent, and it's like, all right, well, we did beat VTech. It was a struggle. Did go to overtime, but now we're going to face a big dog, and then you find out this news. The Oral Roberts beat him. So, I kind of got a little more confident when I knew what happened with Ohio State. And now, it's kind of, okay, well, hey, we got a chance with playing. The Oral Roberts pretty tight right now, up by 3. But, this is one of them teams. We've heard about the Cinderella story between teams every year you watch, March Madness. And Oral Roberts could be that team. But so can Florida at this point, with them losing with Oral Roberts beating Ohio State. So right now, I'm feeling pretty good, but that Virginia Tech game had me biting my fingernails, man.
Yeah, it's just Florida. I mean, they got down big. They came back and won overtime. And I was like, okay. First game of that day, get things started. I was like, okay. I know Florida ain't strong as they've been the past couple of years, but what you mentioned about wins and lose about Oral Roberts upsetting Ohio State.
Mm-hmm.
You hope Florida takes advantage of that and try and make a run to the Sweet 16, and kind of gain some confidence within themselves, and maybe make it back to that Final Four like you been doing in the early 2000s.
Yeah, last time we made a couple runs before, but remember the last time when we was just joking with my guys a couple of days ago about us beating Greg Oden and Mike Conley. So that was years back. So hopefully we can know that and still make the right moves to get to that option if we can. But right now, you're looking at an Oral Roberts team that has a lot of confidence. So we got to be ready. Usually what happens with these Cinderella teams, we know very well that what they do is they knock off one team, they start to build that confidence, and they knock off the next team. So we gotta show that we can hold our ground and say, nah, we're gonna be that Cinderella team. But it definitely did mess up my bracket, though. I tell you that.
I think it messed up everybody's bracket. I was like, when I saw that, I said, good Lord in heaven. But
I knew something crazy was about to happen after that.
I'll get to my winners and losers real quick. And I do want to ask you this question after I get done with that. My winners, the Pac-12. Going 6-0. A conference that, I won't say people forgotten about, but I think with so much focus on the Big Ten this year, the Big 12, and SEC, I think, and then also you throw in Gonzaga, being undefeated, I think they kind of got lost in the shuffle, in a sense. But, they come out that first round, with USC beating Drake. Oregon, getting a pass, getting past VCU with the, VCU, that COVID case, whatever. Colorado beating Georgetown, which wasn't really a surprise because, credit to Patrick Ewing to making a run with them, with Georgetown in the Big East tournament. It beat down Creighton. But I was like, whoever they get matched with, they going to get beat down. They got beat down by Colorado. UCLA going overtime, winning against Michigan State. And then coming back and winning today. Not today, but Friday against BYU. So now you're talking about a UCLA team, Nick Cronin's crew, going against Abilene Christian. I'll get to that game here in a second. Possibly making to the Sweet 16. In that run. And then where else would the Pac-12 is at? Oregon State beating Tennessee. A Tennessee
that was a big upset team.
And Oregon State, like Georgetown, got caught hot in that conference tournament. Win the championship, but still opposite of what Georgetown, produced. They beat Tennessee by double digits. And we're talking about a Tennessee team that did have one of their players because he got knocked out of injury in the SEC tournament. I forgot the kid's name top of my head right now. But Oregon State, hey, they still keeping it hot right now. We'll see how they play later on tonight against Oklahoma State. And if what's that kid's name? I've been bragging about this kid all damn year. The Cunningham kid from Oklahoma State.
Cade Cunningham, yeah.
Yeah, Cade Cunningham. He didn't play too hot against Liberty, but if he can find himself again against Oregon State, then I think there'd be a world of hurt. And, just looking around, I think, for them, hey, kudos to that conference. Right there. Another winner for me. And you may throw a Scooby-Doo face on this. But Rick Pitino. Well, for the time I was at work yesterday, and for the time I was trying to watch that Alabama game, eye on the game, and the way they kind of kept it close and stuff like that. The reason I put Rick Pitino as a winner, because some team, I don't know who, is going to see that performance and say, I know Rick has a lot of baggage, but we just need a spark at our program.
Yeah, I agree with you there.
And you have the Indiana job that is open right now. That program needed a spark for a long time. 4 years ago when they hired Archie Miller, I thought, that'd be a good move. He's very good and successful at Dayton for years. And then got there, it didn't really pan out. What else is open right now? Minnesota. Well, where his son was at. That's another place that's got a job opening. I don't know what's going to happen with Frank Martin in South Carolina. That could be an interesting place. Marquette. That job opening is open right now. And what's his name? Wojciechowski. He'll be back on Duke's sideline come next season. And then, just I'm trying to think, we're looking around as the country. BC field day coach, musician, and stuff like that. And, we'll see who else has some job openings. But Rick Pitino is never winner for me. Yes, they didn't win. Iona didn't win. But I think, if he's up to going to another big program, he would go. If he's cool being Iona, that's cool. But I think somebody's going to be desperate enough to hire him to get a spark of that program. And for my losers,
I mean,
go ahead.
No, go ahead. You got it.
For my losers, Shaka Smart, Texas. Man, it's like, I don't know what it is, D-Log. It's like when some of these programs get these guys from that VCU program where it was like Anthony Grant going to Alabama, Shaka going to Texas. I don't know. I think some people expected big things because they did great things at VCU, but I don't know. It kind of didn't translate when they got to these bigger conferences. Now, 6 years at the helm, kind of like similar to Anthony Grant in Alabama, you produce no NCAA wins, tournament wins. You get bounced down in the first round multiple times. Against Abilene Christian, you had like about 23 turnovers on that game. And then, Texas made a silly foul at the end. I don't know. It seems to me, we'll see what happens Monday. But Shaka Smart, if I was him, I'd be looking behind my shoulder. And see if I'm not getting, my pink slip. Are you in the same camp with that? Like, lose against Abilene Christian. You think, that warrant for him to lose his job? Or do you think he'll stick around?
Yeah, that plays a big part. I mean, at this point, you're looking at a situation where, there's no disrespect for the Abilene Christian, but nobody was expecting that, and that's not something that usually happens. So now you're in a scenario where it's like, okay, boom, like, how often do you let this go on? Like, it's not natural. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Especially with Texas being the team that we know and love to watch. So I don't know if many people remember, but Kevin Durant did come from Texas, University of Texas. So, there's a lot of things that could be done with this program, and I mean that to say, you get hella recruits out of that school, and to take that L is not, that's not, it's not natural. So it's not something that they're accustomed to. So, and to be honest with you, I'm pretty sure if you had your bracket just like everybody else, I had Texas beat them. So, that is no surprise to me. To be honest with you, that whole East bracket, I wouldn't hold my breath. That whole East bracket is all over the place. I wouldn't even, it looks like we're going to see somebody come up out of that bracket that's going to be kind of shocking. So, but yeah, again, like I said, you said that about Texas, like, I would not be surprised if they decide to take another coach.
I was like, damn, dog. And then they showed the stat and stuff like that. It's like, Kim losing in the first round when they get to the tournament and stuff. It's like, damn, dog. Maybe he slipped through the cracks. Maybe. Because, everybody worry about at Texas about that silly ass song that they're forcing the football players to do. But maybe he can slip through the cracks. But I don't know. But it's like Texas, and you mentioned about Kevin Durant coming there. I mean, if you got the resources to pull a kid from the East Coast, especially around that DC, Maryland area, and you pull them away from powerhouses like Duke, North Carolina, Connecticut, teams in that nature to go and come down to Texas, you should be better than what you are right now.
Yes, sir.
If you pull a future Hall of Famer to your program, granted it's years ago, hey, you can do damn near anything. We should, but things happen.
Yeah.
And for my final loser, everybody's bracket. Everybody's bracket. But it kind of ties into a bigger question. Everybody's bracket. Let me ask you this. Within the past 10 years, D-Lock, when we see these upsets of like Ohio beating, Virginia, Eastern Washington playing Kansas tough, the Abilene Christian, Texas matchup, UC Santa Barbara almost beating Creighton, Loyola Chicago beating Illinois, North Texas, Purdue, Colgate playing tough with Arkansas. Should we be surprised since the past 10 years with so much parity in college basketball? And when I mean parity, I mean you got very good kids going around the country playing ball. They're not willing to sit, like Duke, North Carolina for a couple years waiting their turn. No, they're going to turn around, hey, if I can get my time and develop faster at a Winthrop or a Tennessee Tech, Abilene Christian, Santa Clara, where I'm going with this. With so much parity, should we be surprised that these quote unquote upsets happen?
To be honest with you, not really. See, college basketball is different than college football, right?
Yep.
We know that college football is more of a team sport. So is college basketball, but you can have one guy completely take over the game and make a big difference in the game, right? So, you get the top recruit to go to one school, could be a Villanova, could be a Creighton, could be an Abilene Christian, and he can change that franchise. Change that school, that university. So for me, some upsets shouldn't be surprising, but man, I really think that this is not something that could happen. This is not something that should be super shocking. Like I told you before, and I was looking at a couple of teams that Oregon played and looking at their schedule, and they haven't played that many top 25 teams. So they run into trouble. This is not something that should be shocking to many people if you watch it that much. But, obviously, a lot of people are going to pick the number ones, number two. They're going to rank these teams. And, at this point, it shouldn't be to where you really think, okay, boom, I'm not going to expect this to happen, and it does. It's like, wow. So college basketball is especially in the tournament, dude, all the teams get up in the tournament. This is a one and done scenario. So if you get up in the tournament and you can't, you have a bad game, that's it. That's it. There's no coming back from it. This is not. There's no games. There's no 7 games. Like it is in baseball or basketball, the NBA or MLB. There's no 7 straight games. You screw up and you have a bad game, that's it. So there are teams that do have those kind of games. I mean, I think I told you before. I've always thought this, that Gonzaga is always a team that is always top 5 every year. But for some reason, they can't finish the job. Now, for what I'm hearing, what I've known, this is a totally different Gonzaga team. And they have basically the easiest bracket so far, especially with a few upsets that's already happened. But, most teams get up in here and fold. Virginia lost to Ohio. To be honest with you, I would think, in what I had Virginia giving Gonzaga a problem. But they lost.
Mm-hmm.
So, this is something that is going to always happen. But at the same time, sometimes it's shocking, sometimes it's not. But you do have the teams that are going to show, what they're about come, the tournament time. So, but this is why we love March Madness, right? This is why a lot of people put a lot of money into betting on these games. Because you can literally bet on these games and, you might just think you're throwing in a couple dollars of somebody. Maybe you think, okay, maybe Ohio State beat Virginia, but I ain't going to think too much into it. Then they beat them. Now you're looking at a lot more money. So, to me, sometimes it is shocking depending on who it is. But, it's going to happen either way, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I think, I kind of, see here in North Alabama, there's some, very talented kids that have gone elsewhere. Like, one kid who's, broke, scoring records and stuff like that. A couple years ago, he's a freshman at Lipscomb. Well, we'll see. Time will tell, how he grows to a player. Same thing with another kid, who's like a 4-star recruit going to Tennessee Tech. This past senior year, this kid, little town south of here, going to Liberty, averaged about 25 points or so. Going there. So, time will tell how he'll grow and mature to a player. So, I just use those 3 kids for example because, I've seen them play and all that stuff. But, the 4-star kid, hey, he's going to Tennessee Tech. Maybe 5 years ago, he probably been at a higher profile program, but he's at Tennessee Tech. And my point I get into in this was everybody, you see on Twitter and stuff like that, people saying, "Oh, my bracket's busted. Oh, I'm shocked that Oral Roberts won against Ohio State." And yes, it's shocking that Oral Roberts did, because I don't think nobody really think about Oral Roberts like that being Ohio State. Yeah. But I think you take it to the context, that these guys, play with each other for a lot longer than some of these bigger profile schools. These players, play ball, that play a lot of ball getting up to that point. AAU, all that stuff, high school, all that stuff. So you come into these programs, they can ball, they can play. If they don't like their situation, they transfer. I just looked recently at the transfer list, just for the men's side. It's absolutely ridiculous how many transfers are happening right now. For the women's side of things, yeah, you can see those top seeds beating down the lower seeds. Like the men's used to be back in 1997. Yeah, we're going to see that in the women's side. Because in women's hoops, they staying for the whole 4 years. Yes, the WNBA is there, but it's not like a big revenue thing to make a career of. I mean, you can, but you can't really bank on it compared to the NBA. It's like people
Correct.
telling you, hey, once you get in, have a good season or two, you got to make the league to make the most income that you possibly can.
Correct.
Or go to Europe or whatever. Now expanded to China and Japan. Now that seeing these scores, North Texas beating Purdue in overtime didn't surprise me. Now I thought Purdue, solid team, but I didn't expect them going far. Creighton, I had UC Santa Barbara beating them, but UC Santa Barbara kind of choked that away in my eyes. And I thought Creighton,
They did.
and with Creighton, all the mess going on with McDermott and stuff like that, I think they'd be playing their best and stuff like that. The only team that looked dominating in their win was Gonzaga this weekend. And my pick, to win the national championship. And Terry, brought in the chat, one of his losers was San Diego State, and also, Oral Roberts, they led the nation in scoring free throw percentage. Very true. Very true. So, my message to everybody out there for the coming years in the men's tournament: if a lower seed beat a higher seed, don't be shocked at all, in my eyes.
Yeah, we see it all the time. That's why, to be honest with you, the only time I really heard too much about, a Cinderella is, through March Madness. So, this is something that is going to happen. Like, you're going to see upsets.
Mm-hmm.
It's just that part of it is, what team is going to capitalize. Like I said, you're looking at a situation where I used to run track on the college level. I used to, first, quick story, January 7th, the first weekend, you would see a lot of people run fast. You would see a lot of people run so fast that it'd be like the fastest time in the world at the time, or the fastest time in the nation, right? Everybody would run fast really quickly. But when nationals come around, these same people that ran fast early, they can't run the same thing. They can't run that same exact time. They kind of peaked out. So I take that same mindset when it comes to college basketball. You see a lot of teams that are very healthy early. They're killing teams, whooping teams' ass early. They're knocking down top 15, top 25 teams early. But, you got teams like Creighton, Villanova. Who am I missing that continuously hit during the bracket? Kansas sometimes. Georgetown usually. These teams, they may lose a couple, UConn. They may lose a couple games early. That may knock them, down the top 25 or hell, even out of it. But when the tournament comes around, they're just totally different team. So, I say that to say, this is what we're used to. Like this is how it's gonna be. Even though the rankings are important, but you're gonna still see some teams that just don't show up when they need to. So, I know you picked Gonzaga. To be honest with you guys, I'll let you all guys know, I picked Michigan to win everything. And let me double check. I had them matching it up against Villanova. But the reason why I picked them is because, Gonzaga is the favorite. We expect Gonzaga to do so much, but sometimes they fold.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes we don't see them. So, that was the biggest reason why, I didn't pick them. But, have a great season, and then next thing you know, it's time to get into the tournament, and then they're nowhere to be seen. So, and that's what I consistently see now. This may be the year. Like I said, seen them look very good this year. Then you get Virginia knocked off. Now, that side looks a lot easier. So, but this is what we're going to see every tournament. Doesn't matter. We're going to see a team that looks great. And then the tournament come around, they freeze up. So this is not changing, man. I mean, we're gonna see this consistently, and I will continue to expect that.
Yeah, and just looking at the scores right now, Arkansas survives Texas Tech right now. I mean, they survived Texas Tech, winning by what was that score? I just had it too. I just had it. 68-66 against Texas Tech. I called on WSRN the Syracuse and San Diego State game, and Syracuse looked good that game. Because San Diego State couldn't hit nothing, but Syracuse, playing his own, forcing those guys to bad shots and stuff like that. And then Buddy Boeheim had a hot game. They're all the wonders in the world for Syracuse. Now you look at Syracuse in this tournament, winning against West Virginia. Now you got a Syracuse team, going against a potential Houston team who's losing by 5 to Rutgers right now. You're going to see this type of runs, in the tournament. Can Lower Chicago, can they make a run like a couple years ago? They beat Illinois, which, that could have went either way. And then you got, like I said, Oklahoma State tipping off here in a little bit. And then you look else around the matchups and stuff like that. I was watching that Mizzou Oklahoma game. Those last 5 seconds for Mizzou, I had no clue what the hell they were trying to do. They needed a 3-pointer, and I was like, okay, but you throw it inside for some reason, and then you get the foul, and then you kind of shoot yourself in the foot when they fouled you. So I was like, damn, I had Mizzou win that game, but, credit to Oklahoma, playing it smart with the fouls right there as well. But I think that stops with Gonzaga in my eyes. I know you want to talk about the VCU and Oregon situation. What are your thoughts? Because it seemed like the story is during that championship game, the A-10 tournament, the ref, reffing that game, for them in St. Bonaventure, I guess had COVID.
Yeah.
And I guess like the last minute they pulled VCU, against that game against Oregon because, that ref was at that game. What are your thoughts about that situation? Do you think it's fair and whatnot?
I told you before, I do like, to be, an athlete that, you trained for so long, you had these plans, and we just recently just had a segment just now talking about, teams, making upsets, not being surprised by upsets, stuff like that. That has to hurt, man. I mean, at this point, you're looking at a team that could. I just told you, I looked at Oregon's schedule, and it only played so many top 25 teams and squeaked by a few of them. So for me, I just see it as opportunity where maybe VCU grabs the victory. I'm not saying for sure, but at this point, why does it have to be not a chance at all? And I've heard different stories. Some of the players for VCU had COVID and X, Y, and Z. But the biggest thing is, like I said before, you catch COVID, you catch it, but it's not like it's all right, boom, it's in your face, right? You may catch the symptoms from somebody, and then next thing you know, maybe a week later, now, you have COVID or you have the symptoms. So for me, I as somebody I was messaging earlier, I felt like I was like, dang, that's messed up. And they were saying, well, as soon as you get in that bubble that they're having, you get COVID, they're wrong for kicking you out of it. But at the same time, if they caught it a week before they got into the bubble, they're being punished for that. So now, obviously, you're supposed to quarantine, wash your hands, all the other good stuff. But at this point, my biggest question is, well, hell, how long does this last? Like, do you, any team, that get COVID, are you kicking them out? Like, how is the NCAA going to work with this? Because even though they're all in the bubble, mind you, symptoms are still going to come up. Like, let's just be clear. Symptoms are going to, show up at some point. I can be around somebody with COVID now, and then, the second week of April, that's when the symptoms come up, right? So, to be honest, I don't think this is over. I think that there's a good chance that we're going to see, more, situations where teams have to, not be involved or have to be sent home because of this. But it just, for me, it made me feel uncomfortable with that because I just feel like that's wrong, man. To me, I like, and you said it after I sent it to you, feeling bad for those athletes that trained for so long, have done so much to get to this point. And to not even get a chance to get on the court. Not even to get a chance to get on the court. Not only not get on the chance to get on the court, they go tell you that you are put out. They disqualify you because of your ranking. So for me, it's that's wrong, man. If you ask me, I didn't vibe with it. I really, honestly, I thought something was wrong with it. But again, I don't work for the NCAA. So for me, it's really messed up, man. And the thing is, people won't understand it until it's maybe their team or they're in the scenario. I had a coach tell me that that's just how things are done, but I'm like, well, imagine if your team had gotten that same situation, and one person tested positive. Are you telling me that that means that everybody, some person tests positive, or because they're ranked higher, that means you're supposed to leave? Like, we've known about COVID for months. Hell, it's over a year right now already, isn't it?
Yeah.
So at this point, I'm expecting a different way the NCAA should approach this. Like the way they approached that just didn't vibe with me. I didn't like that. So if your only approach is, well, hell, if you test positive or if you're ranked lower than the bottom of the team, you're gonna get booted out. Like, I just told you about the fact that Ohio beat Virginia. Like, this is why we watch, March Madness. Abilene Christian just upset Texas by 1 point. So you're taking away what we can really see. Dude, Maryland beat UConn. So these are the things that this is what makes this, March Madness so interesting, is the upsets. And you're telling me because you feel like, well, one team is higher than the other and they're expected to win. they should be booted. I disagree. That's just how I feel about it. I mean, other people feel different ways, but that's on the athletic side. Other people will say, "Well, hey, hey, it is what it is." On the athletic side, me being that person that would train so long and then be told I can't go out there and compete, that would piss me off, man.
Yeah, and it's rough. It's rough that you get to Indy, and then they come and tell you that you can't play.
Yeah,
and
what?
that's the real messed up part about it. After those conference tournaments, these teams basically, especially the ones that play Sunday and stuff like that, you got to turn around and get hit straight to Indy to go into quarantine and test, about seven, I'll say consecutive days to practice and all that stuff. So for them not to catch that for those guys, it's like it sucked. And it came real last minute too.
Mm-hmm.
Terrence asked in the chat, why couldn't Louisville take the place of VCU? I really can't say. I really can't say, man. I really can't say. I don't know why. I really can't say why Louisville couldn't take the place. Maybe because of protocols and stuff like that, but since the short turnaround of the NCAA tournament start and stuff like that, we'll see. Taryn brought up the fact that Oregon will be gone without 2 weeks of playing ball, which that can help or hurt them. They can be more rested, and then go against Iowa. You can do some things.
Rutgers is beating Houston right now. They're up by 8. That's the number 10 team against the number 2 team.
Yep.
Like, are you telling me that could not have happened with VC? That's my thing. To be honest with you, I don't know, man. It's a bothering thing.
So yeah, I've seen that too. Rutgers up by 7 now on Houston.
7. Somebody free throw line, yeah.
So you got that going on. Florida's up by 5 on Oral Roberts, so that's something to keep on eye on right there. In the meantime, can Oral Roberts make the upset again on that front? Nova, North Texas, about to get jump off here in a little bit. And then on the nightcap, Oregon State, Oklahoma State. We'll see if Oregon State can still make their run, or can Clay Cunningham bounce back and have a great game. And then with Monday's matchups, Gonzaga, Oklahoma. Can Oklahoma's D slow down Gonzaga to win the game? USC, Kansas. Can the Mobley Brothers, kind of take advantage of a lowly Kansas team? Michigan, LSU. Can LSU bring the upset against the Wolverines? LSU can bring the upset against the Wolverines. FSU, Colorado. That'd be a real interesting matchup. I'd like to see how that goes.
Yeah, I want to see that one.
Can Abilene Christian, can they win against UCLA? I doubt it, but stranger things that happen. And finally, for Monday, Alabama and Maryland. Can Alabama kind of find that offensive mojo and kind of get back to their sweet shooting ways? we shall see. But D-Lock, how can the people find you on social media?
You guys can find me at Black-813. Right now you'll probably see me tweeting a lot of stuff about Florida getting a chance to move on, the whole VCU thing. But Black-813 on Instagram and Twitter. Let them know where they can find you at, man.
You can find me on Twitter at Spawn4288. That is Spawn4288. Also, please do check out our Twitter page at FastBreak IESR. That is FastBreak IESR. You can catch us live tweeting throughout the whole tournament, or give our thoughts and stuff like that. Which we're about to tweet from the account that LaMelo Ball is injured, it fractured his wrist right now. So they ain't good for Charlotte right now. Also, please check out the website. Yep, I agree. Check out the website, iesportsradio.com. You check out the playback on this show and all our shows in the network. Let's Whine About Sports with Mike Pat is right behind us. I'm pretty sure he'll be talking about the tournament. And, drinking. I don't know. He said in the chat he was drinking like margaritas and stuff like that. So we'll see. So he brought that up in the chat and stuff like that. And on Twitter. So we'll see. But this is our show, ladies and gentlemen. We're pretty sure we'll talk about the NCAA tournament again next week. So please tune in for us next week. But till then, we are out.
Deuces.